Hey guys, welcome back to another movie review. Previously, I did a ranking of the body swap movies that came out between the years 1987 to 1989, and I then did reviews of a few of the movies from that era and from that category. I reviewed 18 again, and I reviewed Like Father, Like Son, and I reviewed vice versa. Today, I wanted to do another ranking of films from that same time period, 1987 to 1989. But this time I want to focus on a different genre because Hollywood was cranking out those body swap movies during that time frame, but they were also cranking out inspirational teacher movies or tough love educator movies. There were three films that fit this category between the period of 1987 to 1989, and they all dealt with either a teacher or a principal, male, who came to a lower income high school and turned it around. Either got the kids more motivated, more educated, or more in line, disciplining them. So there were three of them, and I'm going to rank them. And I am, as before with the other ranking that I did, I'm not going to include any of the other ones that came before or after. Dangerous Minds with Michelle Pfeiffer came out in 1995, I believe. It was based on a true story of a former Marine who went to an inner city high school and got the kids to be more motivated and more focused and got them to learn. There was a movie called Teachers that came out in 1984 with Nick Nolte, and it was more of a drama comedy. I wouldn't say that it was an inspirational teacher movie or a tough love educator movie. I wouldn't say that. So those wouldn't really fit the bill. And as I said, those also came either before or after. So the three films that I'm talking about are The Principal, Stand and Deliver, and Lean on Me. Which is not the ranking that which is not my ranking. I'm gonna go from first to worst, and I can't even really say that there is a worst of these three. I think I generally like all three to varying degrees. The one that I like the most, and the one that I think is the best, is Stand and Deliver, which came out in 1988. It was the second of the three. Directed by Ramon Menendez, and starring Edward James Olmos in a role that got him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. He plays Jaime Escalante, who was a calculus teacher at an inner city high school in Los Angeles, Garfield High School, and it's based on a true story. This was a real guy who came to this school, which was low income, mostly Hispanic, and he got these kids to learn AP calculus, which is quite complex, quite sophisticated. I never took it myself, but I just know from hearing about the experiences of others that it's no cakewalk. So he came to the school. I believe he had been a computer teacher, or a computer programmer, or worked at a computer company, and he came here and to this school, and the kids weren't motivated. They were very lazy. He knew that they had more skills than they were putting forward. He knew that they had latent math skills. And he started off just teaching basic algebra, and he eventually worked his way up, and he said, I can teach these kids calculus. And he eventually got these kids to pass the AP calculus exam. And the interesting part of the story was that the class was accused of cheating on the exam. So in this film, you have Andy Garcia and Lou Diamond Phillips, two other very good actors. Lou Diamond Phillips plays one of the kids in Jaime Escalante's class, and Andy Garcia plays one of the AP exam administrators who suspects the class of cheating. And there's a bit of an interesting dynamic there because Andy Garcia is himself Hispanic. So the fact that he's one of the administrators who is accusing the class of this mostly Hispanic class of cheating is very interesting and very complex and very unexpected, I would say. But the story is really interesting. It's very well told. It's well executed. The script is good. All the actors do a good job, particularly Edward James Olmos, who's a fine actor and gives a really terrific performance as Jaime Escalante. You get to spend time with his family. You meet his wife and his kids and his relationship with them, and you see how this job affects him and how what he's going through, like especially once his class is accused of cheating, how it really weighs heavily on his mind, and he's very stressed out, and eventually he actually winds up in the hospital because he has a bit of a heart attack. He has a mild heart attack, which lands him in the hospital, and that adds another dimension to the story that they had to take this exam during a period of time or prepare for the exam, I should say. They had to prepare for the exam at a time when he was in the hospital. He was out of commission. So that's included in the story. So it's a really good movie. It's just the whole thing is done very, very well. The script, the direction, the performances, Andy Garcia, Edward James Olmos, Lou Diamond Phillips, and many of the others as well. I don't have their names handy, but they were mostly unknown actors, Hispanic actors. And the film was selected for preservation by the Library of Congress in the National Film Archives several years ago. So it's definitely well worth a watch. I know there are a lot of math classes that will show this film, a lot of high school classes that will show this film to inspire kids, to get kids motivated. Some of the tactics and techniques I know that were used in the film to explain basic math concepts were, in fact, of course, the real-life concepts that Jaime Escalante explained, or the methods that he used. So it was really good, really terrific movie. So that would be number one. Number two is The Principal, which came out in 1987. It was the first of the three. It was directed by Christopher Kane. And this movie was different from the other two in this category because it was not based on a true story. It was a fictional tale about a teacher from the suburbs, played by James Belushi, in one of his earlier dramatic roles. And he is promoted, although you'd have to use the quotation marks for promoted. I would say he's really demoted to become the principal at the worst school in the district, the worst high school in the district. This is a school that's so bad that the kids in the school have been kicked out of like every other school. Like you can't really suspend or expel a kid from this school because they've all been suspended and expelled from every other school in the district. So it's filled with crime. Crime is rampant, and James Belushi comes in to clean up the school. And the movie is great because it's gritty and it's unapologetic about what it is, I would say. The movie doesn't make any mistake about what it is. It's a brutal, it's high school movie. It's high noon in high school, basically, is what it is. James Belushi comes up it's very much like a Western. He rides in on his motorcycle and he comes into the high school to clean it up. And he has to face off against the school bully, Victor Duncan, played by Michael Wright. And it's just a really great, gritty, urban story. And I think I like it more than Lean On Me because Lean On Me fell into the trap of trying to be something that it wasn't. And I'll get to that after I finish up with The Principal. But I just really like it. James' performances are very good. James Belushi does an outstanding job as Rick Latimer, the principal of the high school. And what I like about it is that he does sprinkle in some moments of comedy and levity to the thing. Like it's not even though it is an R-rated, dark, gritty film with a lot of violence, I might add. There's a scene where Ray Dong Chong, as one of the teachers at the school, gets raped, and they don't sugarcoat it. I mean, it really is a tough scene to watch. But the thing that is nice is that Rick Latimer, the character, has a sense of humor, and he does try to kind of lighten the mood every once in a while, but yet it's not to a point where it undercuts the tension in the film. So they did a really good job of adding enough moments of humor, but not too much where it overwhelms the film. And for me, what makes the film exciting and interesting and memorable is the finale, because there's a really memorable standoff that James Belushi has with Michael Wright and his gang at the end of the school day in the women's locker room. Like it's this labyrinth of bathroom stalls, and they sort of work their way through, and there's this real kind of cat and mouse game going on, and it's really, really tense, well shot, well put together. There's not much, I don't think there's even any music that I can recall in it. It's just really, really solid and well done. And I just love that it's so unapologetic about what it is. There's even a speech, there's a great moment when James Belushi is speaking to the high school on his first day. He addresses the auditorium, and he basically just gets up there and he says, "I'm not going to stand up here and give you a lecture about the values of education." And the whole audience goes crazy. They all applaud and cheer. And that sets the whole tone for the movie, that this is not a movie about trying to educate all these kids. It's a movie about how he tried to discipline the school, clean it up, and get rid of the main source of the problem, which was the Michael Wright character, Victor Duncan. He was like the leading thug of the school. So The Principal would be my number 2. And then number 3 is Lean on Me from 1989, starring Morgan Freeman as Joe Clark, who was a real-life person. He was the principal of Eastside High School in Paterson, New Jersey. And he drew a lot of controversy in the mid-1980s because he walked around the school with a baseball bat and a bullhorn, and he used a lot of controversial methods to clean up the school, like chaining the doors, and he was very, very much like the all about that tough love. And Ronald Reagan, I guess, was a big fan of this guy, and so Hollywood decided to make a movie about him. And they got John G. Avildsen, who was the director of Rocky and the Karate Kid, to direct the film. And for me, the major problem with this film was that it did try to be something that it was not. It tried to be like Stand and Deliver when it really should have been more like The Principal, because the Joe Clark story was not about how he educated that school. The Joe Clark story was about how he disciplined it, how he got it under control, and the methods that he used, which drew criticism. And I think one of the problems was probably the timing of the film. I think probably the fact that these 2 other films had already come out, it really put Lean on Me in the unfortunate position of being the last one, of basically being left with the scraps. My guess is that when they were developing the film, they probably had something that was more like The Principal, where it was just very gritty, very dark, unapologetic about what it was, disciplining the school, not trying to educate it. Like, they have this whole subplot, which was false, which didn't happen in real life, about how there's this state exam that all the kids have to pass. They have to get a minimum score of like at least 75%, or else the state's going to take over the school. That was total fabrication. It never happened in real life, but in this movie it happened. And of course, there's also a scene where Joe Clark gets put in prison. He gets arrested for chaining the doors and creating a fire hazard. That didn't happen. There was just too many moments in the film that didn't happen in real life. And I think that's a major, major flaw. If you're doing any kind of a movie that's based on a real person, you want it to be as accurate as possible. You want to get the details right, You want to get it factually correct because that's representing what happened in real life. You want it to be you always want to go for as real as you can be. And I just think if there wasn't a story to be told about Joe Clark, then don't tell it, or make it be something that it really was. Like, make it be more like the principal. Just make it, if you want to do a sort of an inspirational, or make it like fictionalized version of that, try to do something that rings that closer to the truth of what it actually was. Even if you invented a character that was like the thug of the school or something, just do that. But you see, then it does get to be too much like the principal. So I don't know. I guess they were just the victims of bad timing. The fact that these two other movies had come out. So those are my rankings, really. And the fact of the matter is, Lean on Me is good performances. Morgan Freeman does a really good job. Robert Guillaume is in the film. He does a good job. Really, everybody does. The acting is good. I just also found that a lot of the dialogue was just characters shouting at one another. Like, and there was a lot of speeches going on, like Morgan Freeman as Joe Clark giving a lot of speeches to the kids at school. Like, it just seemed like it was a lot of shouting, a lot of speechifying in the dialogue, and that got to be a bit much. But overall, I would say the rankings are Stand and Deliver number 1, The Principal number 2, Lean on Me number 3. Although I don't think any of them are really that bad. Like I said, it's degrees of quality. I just think Stand and Deliver overall is the best, followed by The Principal. And Lean on Me, it's watchable, but you just have to realize that it's not the real account of what happened. It's a fictionalized version of what happened, but it's got a great performance by Morgan Freeman at the center. And at that time, he was not really that well known. I think this is one of the films that really did put him on the map. And we all know what a great actor he's went on to become, and other roles that he's done. Shawshank Redemption, Seven. I mean, there's a whole list of them. But in any event, those are my rankings of the 3 late 1980s tough love educator films. Thanks for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.